All right. So let's get into this. This is the first topics episode. Really, it's just the recaps, you know, but we decided that we're going to just name it Topics. And the reason why is because um, pretty much what I've decided to do with a lot of this stuff, especially celebrity talk, but we could talk other current events as well. You know, man, I'm just gonna snap a picture or something of some of these articles I might want to talk about, some of these posts, and um, when I feel I have a number of articles to speak on, I'll go ahead and do a live or drop extended content, okay, covering them. And so that's kind of like what we are going to be doing moving forward. Okay. It's still the recaps. All right. But it's just going to be a little different. Outside of that, the other ones, I'll be, getting a hold of some of these articles and things like that that are sent to me. And I'll be reading through them, kind of like speaking on what I think about it. And so, as I've told you all before, uh, it's some of them. Okay, you'll have unlimited access to them without doing a thing. Like for example, I just made. We did the live um, featuring that mayor and some of the things that he was saying. We did a live covering that, and that's something that's just going to be out there. And the reason why is because that's kind of like a lot of the city talk and things like that. Um, we look at that as us doing our part, you know, by speaking up on things that we feel is wrong or right when it comes to the city. Something that we feel like more people should do. All right, man. Way too many Americans, for the most part, all they do is complain. Okay. Especially white and black folks. That's all they do is sit around and complain about stuff. All right. Um, and so, you know, other than that, man, uh, some of these episodes, you'll have a limited time to kind of like pull up and view them on the platforms. If you don't catch them, then a lot of the content, okay, that I'm going to be dropping in the future, you some of it you may have a limited time to look at it publicly, but you're gonna have to be a part of uh, some of our groups to get access, unlimited access to the content. Okay, that's where we're at today. You get what you pay for, you get what you invest in. All right, and we feel as if over the course of the years we've given a lot. All right, that's slightly going to change without your investment, and so just wanted to go ahead and say that. But if you are listening now, of course, obviously, one way or the other, you have the access, and so we're going to get into speaking about 8 topics, okay, that I just caught on the scroll. These are just going to be, not, well, it's going to be in an order, but not really in an order, okay, because really I snap these things all over the place. And I got a random arrangement here, so we're just going to go ahead and talk about it. But the first thing, man, is, Beyonce. That's kind of like what we see here. Okay. And y'all can kind of like see it as well. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do a snapshot and use that for the background. Okay. But the first one y'all see here is Beyonce. All right. Now, a lot of people are kind of like, well, not a lot of people. Well, I I mean, the posts that I've been seeing, a lot of people are getting a chuckle out of this right now. Okay, they want to put Beyonce back out on another tour. Okay, the first one, I'm talking about as of recent. It was received. The second one was a gimmick that was highly carried, and this one, if they're gonna make it a thing, get ready for them to inflate the numbers and the hype behind it for sure. Because, man, Beyonce is not hot like that anymore. And like I say, man, when y'all see these people being carried, okay, all right, to the last, okay, the most that they can carry them, it's a sign that they are falling over there. They're having a hard time finding replacements for a lot of these characters that they got over there in that industry. Okay, that is the primary reason why Beyonce has been carried so much. All right, and they've been trying to do whatever to keep her name relevant. That's the only reason why they gave her that Grammy. Okay, it was to promote this concert run. All right, and to be real with you, that was probably the whole reason why they did the Country Carter and all of that stuff anyway. Okay, because the end game was to kind of like build up the hype again to get her back on the road. But I think that has came to an end. Beyonce is not really looked at as somebody that's hot for real. And I think that they had a little bread and butter because, they kind of like had a lot of the older demographic of black women in a grip with Beyonce and stuff like that. But even that's fading out. All right. And that's the problem you run with when you got a lot of these grown adult child women trying to live forever young. They're not going to be interested in Beyonce anymore. They're going to be interested in a lot of these, nothing burgers out here that a lot of the younger generations are into. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man, it was something that I caught on the scroll, and I seen that a lot of people were reacting to it, and a lot of people were not taking it seriously. But when you see Beyonce being up front entertained the way that she is still to this day, and she hasn't really taken a back seat, all right, it's a sign, man, that they are tight over there right now. Okay, they are real tight. They don't have much going on after that. And like I say, one thing I think that they might not understand or realize is that because Beyonce she was not able to usher in the next generation of female R&B, and those girls, Holly and Chloe, I think, man, she lost a lot of clout behind that. All right. She lost a lot of clout behind that. That made her look extremely selfish out here, if you ask me. All right. But that's what I would say about that situation. But just moving on away from that, man, I caught a post on the scroll, and, they were showing the Buffalo Soldiers, of course, this is what a lot of people like to call so-called Black History Month. But what I find interesting about Black History Month and things like that, black folks typically, black integrationists, they typically like to share a bunch of black people that were about a life that they could never be about. Okay? Because what I was saying when I caught this on the scroll here and I decided to snapshot it is the difference between those guys right there and people that, you've seen in the civil rights and around that time and today. These guys actually stood and fought for so-called black people. All right? They weren't sitting around here fighting to make sure that they were neighbors with white folks. Okay? They weren't fighting to be equal to white people. All right? Or anything like that. They were fighting to make sure that their people, so-called black people, were going to have something out here. All right. And that's what they got on the line for. And I just wanted to stop and kind of like say that on a side note, because there are a lot of so-called black folks out here sharing things like this around, and these people ain't got nothing to do with you. That's what I was saying, man. The black folks before the whole civil rights era, all right, they are nothing like most black people that you see today. All right. A lot of the black folks that still carry on that mindset, that culture set from black folks before the civil rights era, they're seen as a problem and an enemy today. Okay? You know, while a lot of y'all sit around here and try to celebrate those people in the picture. Okay? The ones that are kind of like out here today still existing, y'all don't like them. You know, y'all don't want to work with them or nothing. But I wanted to stop and say that because it's important to know. You know, a lot of these people that so-called black folks do celebrate around here, especially the ones before the civil rights era. All right. You wouldn't like them if they were out here today. And so just wanted to go ahead and hit on that. But speaking of black history, man, you know, you got a lot of people right now a little upset with outlets like Google and the government. They're denouncing things like Black History Month. They're taking the holidays out their calendars and things like that. And I wanted to speak on this just real briefly because in my opinion, if you're a so-called black person out there and you're tight about that, all right, man, you're the problem, okay? You contribute to black folks going backwards, not forward. And the reason why I say that is because, man, if you really cared about these holidays and you found value in them, you don't need Google to celebrate it for you. You don't need government to celebrate for you, all right? That's one of your problems, okay? Because you felt like you needed to have them all in on what's culturally up with you. Okay? But man, that's something that nobody should be pressed about at all. You know, you shouldn't care if Google or the government is celebrating. And for people who saying, well, I work, you know, I want to be out. Man, that's what they give you vacation time for. All right? That's what they give you vacation time for. All right, in my opinion, man, that whole holiday package, it should be erased, okay? And just give people the time. You know, if you want to decide you want to celebrate your holidays, go ahead and celebrate them. I mean, you know, some people will say it's a bit much for me, but I even say that when it comes to these Christmas holidays. You know, all of those holidays, all right, you know, you shouldn't need outlets like Google and the government and all that to say, hey, we recognize it. All right? You shouldn't. When they, you know, if you are somebody that's into those holidays, I mean, you should have the expectation that people that you do business with and work with or in community with or whatever, in some instances, they're going to work with you, okay, to ensure that maybe you will have your own time to kind of like invest in celebrating your holidays and stuff like that. That's reasonable, man. Okay, but outside of that, to me, I mean, in these modern times, it shouldn't be something that the government and these businesses and stuff like that should be all invested in anyway. You know, in my opinion, man, a lot of these businesses, especially when they come around like stuff like Black History Month, it's just pandering. They don't really care anyway. And so, you know, I wanted to kind of like speak on that one, man. You know, because I kind of like seen it and I caught a number of people kind of like reacting about it, but I'm like, who cares? You know, somebody right now is sitting around tight about that, but they work for a company and they got a whole bunch of vacation time or whatever they call it, floating holiday time. They sitting around with all of that in the bank, and they still mad at a company because they took Black History Month and MLK, all of that off the calendar. Okay, and man, Black people need to understand that the reason why you're seeing all of this stuff is because they're done with the civil rights era. They're done with all of that. Okay? They got what they needed out of the deal. Okay? When it comes to pandering to Black people, civil rights, and all of that. And so because of that, they're dismantling it. So, I mean, it's not the time to sit around and be tight and in your feelings about it. Okay? It's a time for you to recognize what's going on out here in the game and, act accordingly. And so, yeah. But just moving on. The next thing that I wanted to cover here, I called as y'all can see here, they reported 2 homeless children, they froze to death while sleeping in a van with their family. Okay? And man, this is real messed up. It's awful what happened. Okay? But one thing that I don't like about this is there's never really an in-depth investment in getting to the source of why this stuff played out the way that it did at the end of the day. Okay? Man, how did a family end up in a van on a freezing cold night to the point some kids froze to death? All right, in America. All right? Man, that is a major problem with this country because, man, I'm somebody that's big on, believing that, man, these things need to be looked into to get ahead of the irresponsible behaviors of grown American adults, dude. Man, a lot of these situations play out because from the start, American people are made to believe they can do whatever they want to do. Okay? And worry about the consequences later. Nobody is like that more than American people, in my opinion. I mean, you got the world like that in most people. But, man, it matters a lot more, man, in a place where, people are supposed to be a lot more civilized. Okay? Man, and being a responsible adult is a part of being civilized. Okay? Nobody is perfect. All right? But, in my opinion, man, if you look up and you're a family and you're in a situation with 2 children, you're in a van and the children freeze to death, all right, man, that's we got to take a second look at that. All right? And ask why. In a time where, there's welfare coverage, there's housing out here, there are all of these various different things. You had to be dealing with some very irresponsible parents out there. Okay? To the point they had 2 kids that was in a van freezing to death. In America. And so, I mean, that's kind of like what I would say, man. Man, it's starting to be detrimental. Okay? When we talk about how irresponsible American adults are, all right, no matter what aspect of life out here, all right, we talking household, we talking the workplace, we're talking when it comes to parenting, man, okay, a lot of these situations are playing out, man, because of these irresponsible adults are out here playing the game like an adult child. And then society is left to have to figure it out and clean it up. But in between that, this is what happens. Children freeze to death in a car with their parents. And so, yeah, man. That's pretty sad and unfortunate. But moving on, they got this dude Kanye West up front again. They got him up front again, yapping about him. And, when I looked at it, I just got a chuckle out of it because this is 100% a narrative. Okay, like I say, man, when it comes to that entertainment industry, all right, they don't really invest in black people being seen positive at all. Okay? And this is one of the people, Kanye West, that they like keeping up front because they believe that when they use him, okay, to set some social example about what you should believe about black men, all right, they believe that it works. All right. And so they keep him up front with these nothing burger narrative stories. Okay. A lot of people ask, why they always show him up front, pretty much disrespecting his wife. Because that helps these other men out here who might have daughters that are interested in black men. That helps them stay tight about their daughters being out here being with black men. Because they'll look at a dude like Kanye West that they'll tell you is a billionaire and all of that and see how he conducts himself with his wife. And they'll believe, well, if he's doing it, I can only imagine what, these little black guys will do out here with my daughter, even if they're successful. Okay? Man, that's what that's all about, man, with this dude Kanye West. But this here is just another narrative, you know what I'm saying, to keep so-called black men in a negative light. And the reason why I say this is because you want to have us believe that a dude, okay, that they are now telling you again is a billionaire. And the reason why they tell you that is to make his name a topic. But you want us to believe that this dude, a billionaire, okay, is being shut down by Shopify for expressing himself. A dude that can easily pay for his own website that people can go into, okay, where he don't have to worry about none of that. All right, he's sitting around being pressed by Shopify, dealing with them shutting his store down that he's opening with a purpose. A billionaire. I mean, these are the type of nonsense narratives, man, that they put out here, you know what I'm saying, to help drive home why you should have a problem with so-called black men. All right. And they're 100% engineered. All right. And that's why I be telling the so-called black community out here, especially black men, I mean, the media ain't your friend. All right. That's why I don't really invest much into promoting the media at all. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't your friend. They are invested in trying to make black men look silly, and they will do anything to do it. Okay, including telling you that a billionaire guy in this dude Kanye West is sitting around having all of these problems with Shopify. When he could just say, forget Shopify, I'm a billionaire, I can pay for my own website, and I know people are going to come to it because of my influence. All right, that's reality right there. Okay, but yeah, moving on. I wanted to really talk about this one here because they are reporting that in Detroit again, some black woman is working to make the whole rail system project inclusive. Okay, that's what she said, or that's what the article read. And I wanted to talk about this because, man, the reality about it, when you're talking about black people and things like that, man, when they're telling you, man, that a black woman is in the building, okay, all right, she's in the building and she has plans to do something for the black community, dude, you need to take that with a extra small grain of salt. Okay? All right? And the reason why I say that is because I've told you all before, dude, the truth of the matter is, when you talk about black women, she's not a queen chess piece on the board for her people and community like these other women are for their communities. Okay? in comparison. All right. Black women, man, when they get in the building with these other people, they are for these other people. All right. I've said this before, man. Black women are the most disloyal group of people, to their communities on this planet. That is a serious weakness in the black community. That's one of our weaknesses. Okay? The so-called black woman, she is highly, highly susceptible to fall into other groups of people. And all you got to do is let her in the door. Okay? And so when you see something like this, all right, them telling you that ain't nothing to really put your eggs in the basket about. Okay, because black women have went on record to show and let it be known that it ain't about their community when they get into these positions. Okay, it ain't even about establishing something that they feel that not only other people can pull up and get, but for sure their community can get. Okay, they'll have access to things like that, and groups that actually matter for their people out here, they play those kind of games. Okay, they play that kind of game, and there's nothing really wrong with it if it's if it makes sense. Okay, which means there's nothing wrong with being a representation in, for example, politics. That's a good example. Or business. There's nothing wrong with you coming from your community into a company and you're working with that company and you're sitting somewhere figuring out, or maybe you get into a lane, okay, that your people can be successful in, and you're working within that lane to ensure that there are open doors for your people to come in as well. All right. And you're working on that open door because you know that if they can get in, they'll be good at the job. Not just because they're black or something like that, but they'll actually be good at the job. All right. Man, black women don't sit around establishing that. Black men don't either. All right. But I'm just saying that the last people you're going to be sitting around here believing that's going to come in and do it is it's black women, okay? They come in with them F them, deals going on. And so that's just what it is. Take that with a grain of salt. All right, but the black woman that ain't like that, she's able to get in the building and she can, work on something, here and there to make something right for her people, then she's a black woman to be celebrated, okay? That's an honorable thing. All right, but most of the time, that ain't going on. They get in there and they be for those other folks. Moving on. Speaking about a lot of the talk about Elon Musk, I caught this on the scroll. I just snapshotted it. They're talking about this dude. Joe Rogan is in hot water or something like that for defending Elon Musk. There's a lot of talk about this guy, Elon Musk, and his position out here in America, yada, yada, yada. A lot of people were talking about it. But what I wanted to say is, America, the reason why you're sitting around here dealing with a situation like this is because, again, you're not up to being, the representation within your own government that this dude Elon Musk is currently being right now. Okay? That's one of the things that they're pretty much serving to you when they're showing him up front and things like that. You can't do it, okay? So you needed somebody else to pull up and do it for you, all right? And the reason why you're in that position today is because you spent way too much time sitting around being invested in the slavery narrative, the bigotry narratives, the back and forth with your own countrymen, being invested in the white supremacists. White people are better. Black people were kings. Black people being invested in people caring about history that they ain't about today. All of these things is the reason why a dude like Elon Musk is here in this country, all right, being the representation that you could never be. Okay? That's the thing. Now, this could all be a script or whatever, and this script could be very well what I'm talking about here. But that's what I see, and I get a chuckle out of when I see all of these people running around crying about it. And to be real with you, man, a lot of these other folks out here, they have accepted this, because, like I say, like to me, man, the stroll twerking coming from a lot of white men, all right, when you talk about Elon Musk, okay, and he's not even, he's not, his lineage is not from here, man, it's kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy. But it's not any different when you look at how they on their knees about Trump. Okay? When you see stuff like this, man, it's a good indicator that a lot of these dudes, man, they don't sit around looking up to OGs in their communities out here like that. Okay? They ain't sitting around here like that. These white guys that y'all believe is everything. When you see them out here stroll twerking like that for these guys that they got up front, all right, that just placed in front of them, okay, speaking on and covering things that they should be speaking on and covering for themselves in their community, it should send you a good sign about where the so-called even the white man is today. All right. And like I told y'all, man, not all Caucasians are white. They'll say that to play the game, but white is a designation to Caucasian people here in this country, as well as various different other groups of people that they bring in to recruit into their group so that they can play their little economic and social political games that they play. All right. And so I just wanted to go ahead and kind of like cover that very quickly. But the next thing is, speaking about this, I caught this on the scroll. This dude, Joe Budden, he called out this guy, Drake, for, I guess, trying to name drop him or something. And this dude, Joe Budden, responded back. Y'all can kind of like see what he said, okay? Because I should have the image that I'm going off of posted, but y'all can kind of see what he said. But in my opinion, man, he bodied Drake with this because it's true, okay? It's over with for Drake, man. All right, and the reason why it's over with for him, and I don't believe that there's going to be a comeback unless the media seriously carries him, is because you lose it how you got it. A lot of the people that threw him under the bus and things like that, they were the reason he was successful. Okay? They contributed to his success. I mean, when the whole beef with him and Rick Ross broke, that was not a good look for Drake, okay? Because Rick Ross, he was such an important part of the quality of Drake's career. I mean, so much. But there were so many other people kind of like coming in on this dude Drake that was just a part of his relevance. It just really knocked him out. And it's just kind of like, if he came back now, if he was to come back now, he would need, I mean, number one, he's been in the game so long. Okay, really his time is just done just off that. But if he was to do something now, he would need a whole new grip of entertainers and artists and stuff like that who also had primes. They had their own primes. He would need them to be praising him up and down again. Okay? He would need people to pull up writing his music and allowing him to take they stuff and all of these things that he got, okay, during his run at his height, and so I think that it's over with for Drake. And so when this dude Joe Budden said this right here, I mean, really, man, that's the nail in the coffin for Drake, man. It was the best time for him to say, "Oh, I'm going on in the movies or something." You know what I'm saying? It was better for him to make that transition, And so yeah. But with all that work he did, I still don't believe he's a hip hop legend, Drake. Okay, I don't believe he's a hip hop legend. But we will cover that. But yeah, man, I just caught that on the scroll and I wanted to hit on it. It's over with for Drake. And, he's very vulnerable for these kind of shots being thrown at him. The statement that this dude Joe Budden made, man. But, moving on. So, this last deal here, they are speaking about how some black woman who was a USPS worker stole $2.4 million while working in an Orlando mail facility. And she was charged. They got her and they charged her. But, man, that's exaggerated. Okay? That's why they'll leave it up to the media to tell you this, but you'll never be able to really see the paperwork. You see the paperwork, it probably was nothing like this. It was probably just the media being told to exaggerate it, okay, to kind of like put so-called black folks on the level of these other folks that really do this stuff on a consistent basis. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where the real thievery happens at. It happens with these other groups of people. And that makes sense when, they kind of like have this idea that they're off the hook because everybody is focused on black folks stealing stuff. But I think that this is highly exaggerated. There's no way somebody's going to get away with stealing $2.4 million. Okay? You know what I'm saying? In checks and stuff like that. And they get away with it. You know what I'm saying? Up into that much. That's nonsense. All right? That is nonsense. But the truth of the matter is, like I said, other groups of people, they are actually doing this. Okay? They make they commit these types of crimes. Like, for example, a lot of these guys out here who are stealing these whole ATMs. Those ain't black folks that do that. All right? That be these other guys that do that. I'm not saying that black folks are exempt from doing it, but it be these other guys that be doing that kind of stuff. All right? Stealing millions of dollars. I spoke to y'all about how that Hispanic woman, okay, who was over a lot of the donor funds for Hispanic families in the military, how she stole like $1.4 million. Okay, they'll come out here to make these old fake made up stories, all right, about somebody like a UPS worker stealing $2 million to cover up for them. Okay, that's a major part of the reason why we deal with a lot of nonsense out here today. You know what I'm saying? This effort to cover up a lot of these other people to ensure that everybody understands that, black people are worse than everybody. When the truth of the matter is, black people are the least problems out here today. Okay? On average, you don't worry about black people coming out here shooting up the scene. committing $1 million heists and all of this nonsense. Not saying that they are exempt from it, okay? But they are surely not the focus. All right, yet they want to make you believe that that they are. Okay, that contributes to a lot of chaos out here, man. You know, but I wanted to just kind of like stop on that last story to speak on it. I don't believe that it was true, and they also said that she was doing it to fund her drug habit. And man, let me explain something to y'all. If a person was doing that kind of stuff like that to fund their drug habit, they're not able to really function on a job. If they're going like that, they're not able to function on a job. They don't got no job. She done ran somewhere to start breaking off, you know what I'm saying? That little thing to get her quick money. All right, if that was the case. All right. But the reason why they're reporting that she did it for drugs is because, man, that's the easiest thing, man. That's the first thing you do when you get caught up in something like that. You say you did it because you had a drug problem. All right? That's just all it is. Okay, and when you have a drug problem, you have a greater chance of, first off, getting a break with your plea. All right, and even possibly getting out and maybe this might be federal, so she don't have that. I don't think they have it on the federal level, but if it was a state level, maybe having them give you a break so you could do something like a drug court with the possibility of you having your stuff expunged. All right, that's all that is. It doesn't mean that she really had a drug problem. All right, which I doubt that she did. And so, yeah. But man, that's the first one, Top-Pics. Okay. Which is really just a recap, reinventing. I mean, we might as well say recap. I think it's 18. All right. But yeah, man. That's pretty much it. This one will be posted for a little bit, and then it will go to unlisted. So be sure you catch it, you know, within 72 hours or whatever for this one. It's 300.